And let's get this going. We have not missed a single day of live streaming in 150 days or so. We've said that for maybe a month, so God knows how much longer it's actually been. But we are going to go through. We are going to answer some questions. We have some injury updates that actually will be pretty important to get to. Looks like Rashad White is someone that you are now going to need to make sure is in your starting lineup. But give me 1 second to set this live stream up, and we will get into everything. And we have some news with Chase. We got a lot to talk about. And as I set up this live stream, of course, if you are not able to make it and you're having to watch this as a video later on, that means you need to fix your life. You need to subscribe to the channel, hit the bell next to the subscribe button, regardless of if you're in the live chat right now or if you're watching this as a video later on. Make sure you drop a like on this stream. And if you want to check out any of these player props, you can find the link to them on Underdog Fantasy, the link in the live chat description, comment section. When you sign up for Underdog and use promo code FLOCK, they're going to match your first deposit dollar for dollar up to $100. Available in damn near every state. And also, we are going to get y'all a free Patrick Mahomes bet on week 13. Make sure you sign up now so you have that week 13 bet. It will be just like, that Travis Etienne line there, but it'll be Patrick Mahomes. It'll say more than less than 0.5 passing yards, which I am very excited that we're able to get y'all that. But looks like we have the chat turned to subscriber only. Let me just set up a little poll and then we should be good to go, ladies and gentlemen. Since this is our technical third live stream of the day, I'm assuming that YouTube really is not going to be sending out a notification to anybody. So what we'll probably have to do is send out something in Discord, just to let people know that we're live, just in case YouTube didn't send anything out. But let me pull this up. Just type live answering questions now. Drag a little picture on that Discord post, and bam, we are good to go. So let's go ahead. Let's dive into the first question we have coming out from PT. Says Rashad White or Cordell Patterson rest of season. I think it would have been easy regardless of the update with Leonard Fournette or not. I think you're having to take Rashad White over Cordell Patterson. Cordell Patterson, my third most drafted running back this year. So trust me, I am praying that CPAT is able to go through and do something. But. Back-to-back weeks, Tyler Algier plays more snaps than Cordell Patterson. Cordell Patterson in a horrendous offense that's not really going to have much volume. Cordell Patterson, 31 years old. So you're telling me that we are getting a 31-year-old running back that's the RB2 in his offense currently in one of the worst offenses in the NFL, and he's not catching passes. Even though I have Cordell Patterson everywhere, even though I'm really hoping that he turns the corner and they start to use him as that 3-down player, right now I think you easily go Rashad White. Not even thinking about it. Okay. Now, our next one coming out from, I believe, Grady, asking for a Jamar Chase update. How about this? How about I just pull up RotoWorld right now? Or better yet, let's pull up the Underdog Twitter. I feel like Underdog's Twitter actually probably does a better job than RotoWorld at this point, updating all the news, especially on Saturdays and Sundays. So we had Josh Jacobs popping up on the injury report, which is extremely frustrating. Talking about running backs that I have in a lot of leagues. Y'all know Josh Jacobs, my most drafted running back. For the love of God, please be out there. Please play Mr. Josh Jacobs. We have Justin Fields still as a game time decision. We have Jamar Chase, questionable. We have Deebo Samuel, questionable. Leonard Fournette, doubtful. Raheem Mostert, doubtful. Hollywood Brown, gonna play. Tyler Higbee, questionable. Gus Edwards, questionable. And Allen Robinson, questionable as well. So really, I think the two biggest things that we need to be looking at is the fact that we have both Raheem Mostert and Leonard Fournette most likely missing. This means you start Jeff Wilson almost over anyone. Going up against the Houston Texans, it'll be a smash spot for him. This means you start Rashad White everywhere, and I repeat, everywhere. And I guess we can go with some lower tier players. You have Rondale Moore out, so if Rondale Moore is out, Hollywood's playing. I'm not going to fault you at all if you want to put Hollywood Brown in the starting lineup. We have Romeo Doubs listed as out as well. So with Romeo Doubs being out, Christian Watson and Alan Lazard are both going to be viable plays yet again. I mean, we also have, at this point, so many injuries. Mike Williams out. So if Mike Williams is going to be out, I feel like you probably have to go through and view Keenan Allen as a must-start player. So across the board here, I mean, we need to go through and we need to be making adjustments from those rankings that we had earlier in the week. If I would have known that we would have had this many updates, I probably would have planned on having a second set of rankings dropping maybe on Friday or Saturday. I just wanted to get those rankings out early. That way everybody had an idea of who to play on Thanksgiving. But we have a donation coming out from Henry. Thank you, my friend. Says Rashad White or George Pickens or Donovan Peoples-Jones. We need 2 for the flex. Also, I'll forgive you on Dalton Schultz. Yes, sir. I am so sorry if I told you to go through and bench Dalton Schultz. Dalton Schultz coming away with 2 touchdowns. Dalton Schultz dominating. I will say he didn't have a ton of volume. Point that out. I don't hate our call to start Dalton Schultz, even if the results obviously ended up being horrendous. Now, if we're looking at Rashad White, George Pickens, Donovan Peoples-Jones, Rashad White, just a must-start player with this Leonard Fournette news. Please make sure that he's in our starting lineup. And rest of season, I think actually Donovan Peoples-Jones is probably going to be someone that we want to go through and play over George Pickens. But that will be once we get Deshaun Watson in here. That'll be once Deshaun Watson's in. Until that point, I'm honestly going to go through. I'm going to play George Pickens. Pickens continues to lead the Pittsburgh Steelers in targets. I'm sorry, not targets, and receiving yards despite being down the depth chart in targets. So, yeah, I think we go White, Pickens this week. And then once we get Watson back, we're going to be going White, Donovan Peoples-Jones. Now, Jose says, who should I add on the waiver wire for tight end in my standard league? We have Gerald Everett, Foster Monroe, Logan Thomas, Tyler Conklin, or Robert Tonyan. My tight end is Taysom Hill. I would say Gerald Everett's going to be a viable option yet again. I mean, the reason being is obviously, we still have the other tight end, Donald Parham, on the IR. To go along with this, you have no Mike Williams. I hope Mike Williams going to make it back soon. I really do. But until that point, there are targets available in Los Angeles. I think you can go through. You can start Gerald Everett for one more week. But long term, when you do get Mike Williams back, at that point, if Williams and Keenan are both in the offense, I don't think Everett's going to be seeing a decent amount of targets. Now, Paulie coming out, thank you, says, if Chase doesn't play, do we start Moore, Burks, Paris Campbell, or Corey Davis? DJ Moore going up against the Denver Broncos is about the worst thing you could ever look at. Let me go through, and I know this isn't everything, but look at how low the player prop they have on DJ Moore is this week. I have no idea where we can find this. Yeah, DJ Moore is sitting at 46.5 receiving yards, close to Terrace Marshall given the horrendous matchup that he has. If we're going to go through, hopefully they have a Traylon Burks lineup. Let me see if they do. Not yet. They're still waiting on injury updates. So, I do not want to play DJ Moore. Horrendous offense, horrendous matchup. Clear avoid spot if we can afford to. But I don't know if we can go through and start Corey Davis over him. I don't know if we can start Paris Campbell over him. I think we play DJ Moore. Look away as you submit your starting lineup. Definitely squint as we submit that in. And try to forget about it when it all comes crashing down. But you don't really have too many options there. Now, Katie says Sutton, Pickens, Garrett Wilson, Antonio Gibson. We need 2 for the flex. Honestly, Katie, I think it's going to be relatively easy for me. I think we're going to go Cortland Sutton whenever we have a good matchup going up against Carolina, combined with the fact you have no Jerry Jeudy. And we're going to go Antonio Gibson as well. Gibson is in a spot where when you have no J.D. McKissic, he's getting every single target out of the backfield. Brian Robinson has a whopping 7 receiving yards this season. So Brian Robinson's not picking up any of that usage. I think Antonio Gibson's a must-start guy. Now, Henry says, you're awesome. Thanks. No, thank you so much for being a part of the flock and supporting the channel, my man. I am so sorry I told you to bench Dalton Schultz on Thanksgiving. That's 100% on me. Cameron says, hey, Mason, my running backs are Eckler, Ramadre, and Dameon Pierce, but my tight ends are trash. Do we trade Pierce for Andrews? Hell yes. Hell yes. I mean, we've been spinning, the past month saying Dameon Pierce, great talent, but you're in the worst offense in the NFL, or at least the worst roster in the NFL, or at least close to it, and you're not catching the ball out of the backfield. You can be a running back in a bad offense as long as you're getting every single touch out of the backfield. As long as, at the end of the day, you're getting involved as a pass catcher. You're not getting that when it comes to Dameon Pierce. If we can go through and get Mark Andrews in return, I think that's a very fair price point. If we're going to be looking at Mark Andrews, it's a little frustrating with what we've had as of late, but I actually think that he's going to be maybe even a little bit better going forward rest of season than what you initially thought when you drafted him. And the reason being is when you have no Rashad Bateman, there's not a lot of target competition here. There's not much target competition whatsoever. Okay. So now our next question coming out from, I believe, Boosh, who says, need to know who to start this week. We need 2 running backs in a flex. JT, Chubb, Etienne, Higgins, and Rashad White in a non-PPR format. Non-PPR format, your 2 running backs, not even close. Jonathan Taylor, Nick Chubb. And then once we get to the flex spot between Etienne, Higgins, and Rashad White, I know we were saying that Rashad White looks like a must-start running back with no Leonard Fournette. We're not playing Rashad White, over Travis Etienne when we've seen it over and over and over again, the success Etienne has had. So we're going to go ahead. We are going to play Travis Etienne in that flex spot. I think we go all 3 RBs. Now, Bradley says, for the flex, Terry, Juju. Oh my gosh, that was embarrassing. Hollywood. Also, Jeff Wilson over David Montgomery. Hook 'em Lawrence, and I agree. Now that we have Raheem Mostert ruled out, we will go through. We'll move Jeff Wilson ahead of David Montgomery. I think we had him separated by 1 or 2 rankings, maybe literally just 1 ranking beforehand. So when you take out Mostert, it's an easy call. And then between Terry McLaurin, Juju, and Hollywood, I think that it's an interesting conversation to be had. If I'm going to go through and pull up my rankings to see how close these wide receivers were for us initially, we had Juju down at 28, but that was because I wanted to make sure that if anybody had any options that were playing on Thursday, they went through, they started those options. They didn't rely on Juju Smith-Schuster just in case he were to miss on Sunday. I felt like it was an easy spot to go ahead and take that stance. But outside of that, we have Hollywood at 25 going up against the Chargers. We had Terry McLaurin at 24 going up against the Atlanta Falcons. Obviously, it's a great matchup for Terry. I'll probably go Scary Terry. I don't think it's an easy call by any means. Juju Smith-Schuster is probably a wide receiver I want over Scary Terry rest of season. Just this week, though, with a great matchup against the Atlanta Falcons, with Juju having his first week back in, I think you can play Scary Terry. Now, Uncaged the Lion says, 11-0 in a 12-team PPR league. Pick 2 for the flex. Rashad White, Jamar Chase, and Aaron Jones. Jamar Chase going to play no matter what. Between Aaron Jones and Rashad White, here I think we can have a real conversation. You have a tough matchup for Aaron Jones going up against the Philadelphia Eagles. The team Miles Sanders is on. And then if we're going to be looking at what we have against the Cleveland Browns for Rashad White, I don't love it. I don't hate it. I am probably still going to go Aaron Jones. I don't know if I'm being too conservative and just taking the player that we've seen, be a dominant option since his 2nd season in the league in 2018. Can y'all let me know what you are doing in the live chat? Can everybody please go to the live chat? Who would you rather have in your starting lineup this week? Would you rather have Aaron Jones with no Leonard Fournette going up against the Cleveland Browns, or Aaron Jones going up against the Philadelphia Eagles on Sunday night? Please let me know. Between those 2 guys, Rashad White and Aaron Jones, who are you rolling with? Let me know, please. Okay. Pedro says White. Katie says White. White, Aaron Jones. White, Jones, White. Looks like a lot of people are saying Rashad White here. We got David claiming Rashad White's a top 5 running back this week. I like the boldness, my friend. If y'all want to go White, we'll go White. F it. If y'all want to go White, we'll go White. Uncaged the Lion here is 11-0. So honestly, my friend, I won't feel too bad if you take your first loss of the season and fall to 11-1. You're still getting a bye. You're still dominating regardless. But real quick, we are 1 like away from hitting 100 likes on the live stream. Please, if you have not done so already, go down there and hit that like button. It helps us out a ton. Now, Millionaire says, made the mistake of starting Gabe Davis over Rashad White. I have James Conner and Rashad White and need to start 2. I'm sorry, I'm a little confused. Are you asking us who we start between? Oh, James Conner, Jamar Chase, and Rashad White. Okay. Yeah, so we're going to go ahead. We're going to play Jamar Chase easily. It looks like a lot of people in the chat are very, very excited about Rashad White, where everybody wants to get Rashad White in. I'm going to play James Conner over Rashad White. Y'all know I spent God knows how long saying to sell Leonard Fournette, buy low on Rashad White, buy low on Rashad White. I'm really hoping Rashad White comes through and it's a top 5 running back because I think the majority of the flock has Rashad White on their rosters. But James Conner getting every touch out of his backfield. James Conner, phenomenal matchup against the Los Angeles Chargers. So honestly, I'm probably going to go Conner. Talos says, it's looking like I'm going to need a guaranteed good game between Etienne and James Conner. I don't like the Etienne matchup. If you look at my rankings right now, I have Travis Etienne ranked running back 9. I have James Conner ranked running back 10, given the matchup that we have against the Baltimore Ravens for Etienne in the matchup against the Los Angeles Chargers for James Conner. So I think it's fully up to you. We have these guys literally back-to-back. You can look at my rankings. We have Travis Etienne 1 spot higher. But if we have someone back-to-back in our rankings, I'm never going to argue with you if you're that worried about the Baltimore Ravens run defense, if you really wanted to go through and play James Conner over him. Now, Saban says Isaiah Pacheco or Donovan Peoples-Jones rest of season. Isaiah Pacheco is my running back 5. If you feel like you would never start Isaiah Pacheco with your roster construction and Donovan Peoples-Jones would be someone that could slide in at wide receiver 2. If you're very light at wide receiver, I'm fine making the pivot. It's just a little difficult if this is going to be anything but a full PPR format. If it's a non-PPR league, I'll say you got to roll with the running back. Full PPR format, I wouldn't mind if you wanted to trade away Pacheco since he's not going to catch the ball. Now, RM says we need a wide receiver 3 and a flex. The options are Pirine, Olave, and Tyler Lockett. I'm easily going to go Olave at wide receiver 3 despite the tough matchup against the 49ers. And then between Samaje Pirine and Tyler Lockett, I mean, you're in a spot where that Bengals game's going to have to be at noon. What time is the Seattle game? I'm assuming that the Seattle Seahawks game, yeah, they're going up against the Raiders, so that's going to be a West Coast contest. So we will have the clarity on Joe Mixon's availability by the time we have to make this decision. If Joe Mixon is officially ruled out, which honestly, he may be ruled out by now. I haven't checked Joe Mixon's availability. Let me go ahead and let me pull this up. Yeah, Joe Mixon officially ruled out. Thank God we just checked that. Yeah, so Joe Mixon officially ruled out today. I think we play Samaje Perine. We'll go ahead. We'll take Samaje Perine over Tyler Lockett for the flex. And we're going to go Olave at wide receiver 3. Now, Vanagan says, took your advice last night and traded Pierce and Debo for Mixon. Now do I trade Lamb and Schultz for Kelsey or St. Brown and Schultz for another receiver like Chase, Burks? No, okay, those are the wide receivers we have on our team. Honestly, I don't like the idea of trading away Amon-Ra St. Brown. I know some people are going to be worried about Jameson Williams coming in. I think Jameson Williams is going to be the field-stretching wide receiver here. I think Amon-Ra St. Brown's going to continue to get the majority of the volume, so you're going to be keeping St. Brown, in my opinion. If you really, really wanted to trade CeeDee Lamb and Dalton Schultz for Travis Kelce on a roster where you have Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase, I'm not going to fault you for it. On a roster where you have Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase, you're so loaded at wide receiver with Chase coming back in that I think we can afford to go out there and overpay for Travis Kelce. Panther says, Sup Mason, I'm sure you've answered this, but how are we ranking Rashad White and Courtland Sutton with injury updates? So if I'm looking at Rashad White, some people in the chat are going bold saying he's a top 5 RB. I think Rashad White's going to be a low-end RB1, high-end RB2. I would rank him probably right in line with Aaron Jones, Alvin Kamara, and Najee Harris for the week. I'd definitely rank him ahead of Najee. I'd rank him probably ahead of Aaron Jones and right in line with Kamara. Kamara does have a tough matchup going up against the 49ers. And then Courtland Sutton, obviously we put a massive asterisk when we ranked him earlier in the week, saying it was all going to depend on the health of Jerry Jeudy. But now that Jeudy is officially out, I think you move Courtland Sutton up ahead of the Seattle Seahawks guys to be about our wide receiver 15, wide receiver 14, next to guys like Chris Olave, Mike Evans, Chris Godwin. I think Courtland Sutton is going to be someone you really want in your starting lineup, given the matchup that you have against the Carolina Panthers and the fact that we have no Jerry Jeudy. Now, Sean says in a 12-team PPR format, start 2, we have Ayuk, Palmer, Pacheco, Christian Watson, Hollywood, Demarcus Robinson, and Treylon Burks. We're going to go ahead. I think that we're going to be starting Brandon Ayuk relatively easily out of this group of guys in a full PPR format. And we'll probably go ahead and start Hollywood Brown as well in full PPR. If it was going to be non-PPR, we would go ahead and we would take Isaiah Pacheco. But in the case of Hollywood Brown, I mean, you have no Rondale Moore. He is already slated to be back. I mean, Hollywood's slated to be back himself. Usually I would like to go through and avoid the players first week in. But if you have both Zach Ertz and Rondale Moore missing this game, I think you have, some safe target volume going in the direction of Hollywood. Now, Bradley says, also, are we starting Amari Cooper and Tyler Lockett? I don't know if you're meaning to ask Amari or Lockett. I mean, if we're going to look at this, I would go ahead. I would start Amari Cooper over Tyler Lockett. Now, Worm says Rashad White or Devonta Smith. Oh, you have to go Rashad White if Leonard Fournette misses, my friend. If Leonard Fournette misses, White has to be a play there. Now, Eagle Arza says start Rashad White, Alvin Kamara, or David Montgomery with the flex. I think obviously you play Rashad White now over David Montgomery. I mean, between him and Kamara, I think it's going to be relatively close. I will go ahead. We'll take Alvin Kamara. Even if he's going up against the 49ers, even if it is going to be a brutal matchup, it is what it is. Alvin Kamara can overcome a very bad offense, a very bad matchup by just his usage as a pass catcher here. So let me know what y'all are thinking in the live chat. Can everybody please spam the chat? Who would you rather start? Would you rather start Alvin Kamara or Rashad White? When we asked this earlier, everybody told us Rashad White over Aaron Jones. But who are y'all going with? Alvin Kamara or Rashad White? Very interested to see what y'all have to say with this one. White. Kamara. White. Looks like the majority of people are saying to go ahead and take Rashad White here. I know like everybody in the flock has Rashad White. I'm really rooting for him to go out there and be a top 5 running back. Like we'll make a lot more money with, Rashad White being a top 5 RB than Alvin Kamara this week. But I don't know. I'm going to take the guy we've seen it from over and over again. We've seen it from Kamara since 2017. We're taking him. Hernan says Rashad White or P. Ryan. We're going to go White in a full PPR format. Diego Loser says start Gibson or P. Ryan. We're going to go Gibson in a full PPR league given the matchup against the Atlanta Falcons. Henry says, weird question, but do you play in any leagues that have IDP? I mean, I would love to get into an IDP league. I mean, the issue is my brain in my time is already maxed out. Like I'm operating with a small pea-sized brain, right? And I'm trying to cram as much fantasy football information as I possibly can into that bad boy. So we have, pretty much anything there is to memorize about every offensive player in the NFL crammed into that small pea-sized brain. For you to ask that brain to all of a sudden learn every piece of data, every important piece of information regarding individual defensive players, it'd be overload, my friend. I just simply wouldn't be able to do it. I think it would be a lot of fun, but the issue would come down to I would be a worse analyst, I think, from an offensive side of it. If maybe I was a little smarter, we could do it, but sadly, no, I can't. Now, Brett says, how's the roster looking in a full PPR format? We got Fields and Geno Smith at quarterback. We got to send up a prayer that Fields is back. We have Dalvin, Latavius, Miles Sanders, Tyreek, Amon-Ra, Hollywood, Garrett Wilson, Christian Watson, Treylon Burks, and George Pickens. Tight end, we have Hawkinson. I really like the team. The issue is you just have so much freaking wide receiver depth. I'm going to operate under the assumption that we're already past our trade deadline. I would have loved to at the deadline where we have Tyreek, Amon-Ra as must-start guys every week. And then we have Hollywood, Garrett Wilson, Christian Watson, Treylon Burks, George Pickens. We have 5 wide receivers. We're trying to figure out who to put in the flex. Good luck submitting that starting lineup. Good luck picking the right guy every week. I really like the team, but what I would have loved, and maybe if you aren't past your trade deadline, you can still do it. If we could go ahead and maybe move one of those depth wide receivers with a running back too and go get an upgrade just to make life a little easier for ourselves, I think we would. Now, Trailer Park Boys says Kamara, AJ Brown, sick. Do I start Keenan over one of them? Okay, let me pull up the most recent reports that we have with these guys. And real quick, we are less than 5 likes away from hitting 200 likes in this live stream. Come on, if you're not dropping a like in the stream for the fact that we have live streamed every single day for over like 150 days in a row, what would you hit that like button for? Please go down there, drop a like on this live stream. I don't see anything. I don't see anything recent with Alvin Kamara. Sounds like it's not that big of a deal. I mean, there's just not much out on it at all. We have this girl, Catherine Terrell, says, Dinas Allen said Alvin Kamara was sick yesterday, but better today. I think you're still benching Keenan now. Play Kamara, play A.J. Brown. I mean, I'm sure that we'll get more information tomorrow morning. And Eric says, hey, Mason, should we start Rashad White over any of these guys? Aaron Jones, everybody in the chat says yes. Kenneth Walker, Jeff Wilson, appreciate all the help, brother. No, thank you so much for supporting the channel, my man. I mean, I think Rashad White and Aaron Jones are very comparable given the very tough matchup that you have for Aaron Jones going up against the Philadelphia Eagles. I know Philly's given up, some rushing production this year, but with the improved interior defensive line, I think that's going to slow down. Let's just go. Let's listen to the wisdom of the crowds. Let's go ahead. Let's take Rashad White over Aaron Jones. I mean, I'm going to draw the line when it comes to Kamara, but if it's Aaron Jones in an offense that's really struggled this year, I think we can go White. Now, Mr. Lee says, a flex start, Pirine, White, Juju, or Ayuk. Here it's going to be Rashad White easily. And obviously, this is all with the assumption Leonard Fournette misses. If Leonard Fournette is a surprise active tomorrow morning, we are going to be panicking. Now, Hernan says, Godwin or Higgins this week. Thanks for the advance note. Thank you so much for supporting the channel, my friend. We're going to go Higgins. I mean, they're in the same tier for me. I think we can use the tiebreaker of Higgins, saying maybe there's an outside chance that Jamar Chase isn't 100%. RJ says, full BBR, Jeff Wilson, Rashad White, or Jamar Chase at the flex. Jeff Wilson has such a high floor ceiling combination with no Raheem Mostert and a beautiful matchup against the Houston Texans, but how much would we have to be overthinking it to go through and play Jeff Wilson Jr. over Jamar Chase? Like, I know we always want to get super in depth, get super in the weeds here. But at the end of the day, if we take 10 steps back, right? Would you rather start Jamar Chase or Jeff Wilson Jr.? Jamar Chase or Jeff Wilson? I think we got to go ahead. We got to take Jamar Chase. Let's try not to overthink it. Let's play the stud. Now, Back 40 says, can't decide if we should start P. Ryan against the Titans with Mixon out or Murray against the Panthers now that he's number one. I mean, I would say let's just give the tiebreak to the player in the better offense, right? The player that has more touchdown upside. I believe the Cincinnati Bengals running backs, have combined for 8 touchdowns over the past 2 weeks, which doesn't sound possible, which doesn't sound real. Yeah, I think we're going to go ahead. I think we're going to play P. Ryan. Now, Michael says, bench 1, Amari, Lockett, Kirk, Pittman. Thanks. So thank you so much for supporting the channel, my friend. I think we have an easy call to go ahead and bench Michael Pittman here against Pittsburgh. Now, Rex, always happy to see you out, says, just wanted to speak for the chat and say that we appreciate everything you do for us. Hope you had a great Thanksgiving. Swift and White to the moon. Okay. Thank you so much for supporting the channel here, my friend. And hopefully you get DeAndre Swift to the moon, but I don't see why. Can someone let me know why DeAndre Swift would be going to the moon? Can someone explain this to me? Are we just sending up a prayer, or there's something I missed today? We're just sending up a prayer for DeAndre Swift to go to the moon, or did I miss something today? I don't see anything in the live chat, so I'm going to assume we're just sending up that prayer. I'll say Rashad White definitely to the moon. Now, Aaron says, hey, Mason, thanks for all you do. The flock's amazing. No, thank you, my man. I need help or we're out of the playoffs. Start 2 wide receivers in a flex. AJ Brown, Godwin, P. Ryan, and Rashad White. Okay, so I think it's going to be easy. I mean, our wide receiver 2 is going to be AJ Brown, and our flex spot, we got to go with Rashad White. Obviously, under the assumption that we have no Leonard Fournette. Now, if Leonard Fournette were to play, then we will have to make that pivot, and we will, in that case, end up going with Chris Godwin. But as it stands, let's plan on AJ Brown and Rashad White, my friend. But thank you so much for supporting the channel. Now, Space Ghost says pick 3, Dameon Pierce, Courtland Sutton, Samaje Perine, Rashad White, Michael Carter. Okay, so I think we're going to go Rashad White, Courtland Sutton, Dameon Pierce. Courtland Sutton, no Judy. Rashad White, no Leonard Fournette. Dameon Pierce, because if I say anything else, people will, report the channel and they'll unsubscribe. We got to give in to the Dameon Pierce truthers, okay? Obviously, I'm joking here, but so he's going to get touches. Now, D. Daniel, always happy to have you out. Says, hey, Mason, do I flex Palmer or Rashad White? We're going to go Rashad White, assuming no Leonard Fournette. Other running backs are Walker, Dalvin Cook. Wide receivers are Tyreek and Diggs. So, yeah, let's go ahead. Let's play Rashad White relatively easily, my friend. Now, no one says start 2 running backs and 1 wide receiver. We have Aaron Jones, Josh Jacobs, Kenneth Walker, and DeAndre Hopkins or Terry McLaurin. Okay, our 1 wide receiver going to be DeAndre Hopkins. I don't give a damn that we have Hollywood Brown coming back. I don't give a damn. Terry McLaurin is a phenomenal matchup against the Atlanta Falcons. It is what it is. And then our 2 running backs, I'm going to plan on Josh Jacobs and Kenneth Walker. It is the most frustrating thing ever that Josh Jacobs is popping up on the injury report here, not fully knowing if Josh Jacobs is going to be good to go. Please, Jacobs, play. Please, please, please. Josh Jacobs, you know we need you. You know we need you. But we'll see. What's nice is your backup option, Aaron Jones, plays after Josh Jacobs. So, even if he does miss, we'll have someone in the lineup regardless. Now, Pedro says Garrett Wilson or Hollywood in a full PPR. Now that we have Rondale Moore officially out and Hollywood Brown officially good to go, we're going to go Hollywood. GK says Sanders or P. Ryan in that flex spot in a full PPR league. Full PPR does make this a little bit closer. I believe Samaje Perine probably actually has more receptions than Miles Sanders so far this season, as crazy as that sounds. Let's go ahead. Let's take Miles Sanders, though. A better running back. You don't hate the matchup going up against Green Bay. They are 7-point favorites. Now, Saban says, should I try to trade Swift for Keenan Allen? If you need a wide receiver, hell yes. I'm done saying Swift has rest of season upside. I've led too many people down the wrong path. I've led myself down the wrong path, saying, well, you can't start DeAndre Swift. He still has rest of season upside, blah, blah, blah. Why am I still saying that? Why would I still think that? He's been so freaking bad. Now, Kenneth says, what's Deshaun Watson's trade value going to be going into a December 2nd trade deadline? I think the assumption has to be that Deshaun Watson's a top 10 quarterback at the end of this season. I think from a dynasty fantasy football perspective, Deshaun Watson can be viewed as a borderline top 5 player. But I don't hate the narrative that he'll have a little rust on him when he first comes back in. But long term, I think you should be very, very excited. Now, Henry says, love how you humble you are. Dude, IDP is basically just kickers, and you just run with 2 linebackers that are hopefully on bad teams. Essentially, with IDP, if I was going to do it, I would do it from a dynasty fantasy football perspective. Because the thing is, if I cover something, I have to do it, in my opinion, to the best of my ability. This is why I can't really talk much about DFS, because I have those Sunday morning live streams where I wouldn't be able to focus in on anything at lock. I wouldn't be able to make those last minute adjustments if we get a surprise inactive and be able to help everybody out on the fly. So I think DFS content is something that it's very difficult for me to do, given the fact that I can't do it to my 100% ability. And I'd say the same thing with IDP. Like maybe I could get into it from like a shallow perspective and do like a shallow redraft league where you only have 2 linebackers, 1 defensive back, and that's it. But if you were getting into it, if I was getting into it, I'd need to get into it from a dynasty perspective. And there are some dynasty leagues where you start like 11 individual defensive players. But real quick, we are at 299 likes on this live stream. Please, if you have not done so already, go down there, drop a like on the stream. It does help us out a ton. And quick side note, if you are spamming the chat with the same question over and over again, you will get muted for a second because it ruins the chat for everybody else. Please do not ruin the chat for everybody else. Now, Sloan Dog Millionaire always out here says, Kamara or Pierce this week. Great work, Mason. Thank you, my friend. Non-PPR format, then we go Dameon Pierce, given the very tough matchup Kamara has. Full PPR format, easily Kamara. now. Yeah, you're saying it's a PPR format. Okay, yeah, let's go Kamara. Now, Diego says, PPR start Lenny, Rashad White, or Jeff Wilson Jr., Keenan Allen at the flex. I think Jeff Wilson Jr. going to be, a must-start guy. Let's go ahead. Let's get Jeff Wilson Jr. in there. You have no Raheem Mostert. You have the best matchup you could ever imagine going up against the Houston Texans. We have to raise him up our rankings with no Mostert in this offense, though. Now, Brandon says Latavius Murray, Devonta Smith, or Brandon Ayuk this week. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to take Smith relatively easily. Since you've had no Dallas Goedert, the man's just getting additional targets here. Now, Jan says Latavius Murray or Najee Harris in a full PPR format. Both running backs are stepping into, 3-down workhorse level roles. I think Najee Harris has been one of the most disappointing running backs in fantasy. But even if he's been one of the most disappointing running backs in fantasy, very difficult, my friend, to go through and say that he is going to be worse than Latavius Murray. I think you got to go with Najee Harris relatively easily. Now, M says PPR, Donovan Peoples-Jones, Treylon Burks, and White or Connor. We're going to go James Conner over Rashad White, just given the great matchup we have against the Chargers. And then Donovan Peoples-Jones or Treylon Burks, we're going to go Donovan Peoples-Jones. I think Treylon Burks has a lot of long-term upside, but I would rather see it for a little bit longer before we decide to go through and jam him into our lineup. Now, Damari Smith coming out says, full PPR format. I need 2 running backs, a wide receiver, a tight end, and a flex. We have Chubb, Connor, White, Pierce, Montgomery, Godwin, Olave, Cole Kmet, Foster Moreau. Thanks, Mason. No, thank you so much for supporting the channel, my friend. We're going to go with Chubb and Connor as our 2 running backs. For our wide receiver, we're going to be going at, and we're going to be playing Chris Olave. And then for that flex spot, we have to take Rashad White with the assumption that Leonard Fournette does not play. If Leonard Fournette does indeed play, then I think we're actually going to end up probably pivoting over to David Montgomery. But assuming that we have no Leonard Fournette, you go Rashad White. And then between Cole Kmet, Foster Moreau, up to you. I don't know. I think the difference between these guys one way or another is not going to be anything. I think it's up to you on the tight end call, my friend. Now, Michael says Pacheco or Devonta Smith. Full PPR format will go Smith. Non-PPR, we will go Pacheco. Now, Janice says Palmer, Watson, or Godwin. We need 2. Thanks, Flock. No, thank you so much for supporting the channel, my friend. I think we're going to go ahead. We're going to take Christian Watson and Chris Godwin now that we officially have, no Romeo Doubs. I know we have no Mike Williams. Well, I don't know. I feel like Keenan Allen actually ends up expanding his role here a bit and ends up seeing a little more targets. Now, Adam says, fill a flex spot with either Michael Carter, Isaiah Pacheco, or Joshua Palmer in a full PPR format. Thanks, big fan. First question. Thank you so much. And love the last name, my friend. Elite level last name. I think it's going to be down between Pacheco as well as Joshua Palmer relatively easily. I would say in a full PPR format, Palmer is going to be a little more intriguing if he can go out there and get 6 receptions. I'll be about 6 more receptions than you're going to see from Isaiah Pacheco. And if we're going to be looking at Pacheco, he does have a very good matchup where, right now against the Rams, the Chiefs are about 15.5 point favorites. So you'd imagine that they're just running the ball over and over and over again. So can I ask the live chat this? We're not playing Michael Carter here, but can everybody please let me know in the live chat in a full PPR format, Isaiah Pacheco or Joshua Palmer? The Rams are 15.5 point dogs to Isaiah Pacheco and the Chiefs. With Joshua Palmer, you have no Mike Williams. Let me know what you're doing. Please let me know. Okay. Looks like most people in the chat are going to go ahead and say Joshua Palmer. We got 1 or 2 Isaiah Pacheco mixed in, but looks like overwhelmingly most people are going with Joshua Palmer. Now, BFS coming out. Always happy to see you out here, my friend. Says, full BBR trade deadline tonight. Should I move Godwin, Hollywood, and Pierce for Devontae Adams? I would say this trade is so dependent on your league settings, on your roster. If you're playing in a 12-team league with 2 flex spots, probably got to keep the 3 startable players. If you're playing in a 10-team league with only 1 flex, you're probably willing to give up all that depth to go out there and get the bona fide stud. So with a trade like this, my friend, I'm so sorry to answer it this way. I know we're not doing the best job, but I think it is really going to be dependent on the league settings and your actual roster. Now, Roar Monda says, start 2, Rashad White, yes. Samaje P. Ryan, Hollywood Brown, Traylon Burks, Olave, and Christian Watson. We're going to go ahead. We're going to play Rashad White as well as Chris Olave. I mean, we've been telling people, Chris Olave has been a must-start guy for 2 months. It worked out for us last week. With Olave, I'm a little bit worried about telling everybody to start him this week, though, because obviously you have just that very, very tough matchup against the 49ers. I still want to go through and play Chris Olave, though. I really do. Now, Admiral Muggs says, start 2 wide receivers in a flex. We have Evans, A.J. Brown, Keenan Allen, Deebo Samuel, as well as Garrett Wilson. Okay, so I think we're going to have to go through. We're going to have to plan on going A.J. Brown, Mike Evans for our 2 wide receivers. And then for that flex spot between Keenan, Deebo, and Garrett Wilson, sounds like, Deebo Samuel, now questionable. Deebo Samuel dealing with some injury. Yeah, Mike Williams officially ruled out. I kind of want to go Keenan Allen over Deebo Samuel. I kind of want to go Keenan Allen over Deebo Samuel. And Mel Bailey, I see your message in the chat. Thank you so much for being a part of the flock and supporting the channel. I genuinely do appreciate you, and I hope that you're having a great Friday night, and I hope you had a great Thanksgiving yesterday. And 416 Hendricks says, start Brady or Justin Fields if he's active. Issue with Justin Fields is if he's active and they're a little worried with the injury, what happens if he doesn't run? Like, Justin Fields isn't valuable in fantasy because he has a cannon. No. Justin Fields has thrown for over 200 passing yards 1 time this season. Like, if Justin Fields is not out there running, Justin Fields is simply not going to score you any fantasy points. So, I don't know. I would say you probably still go Justin Fields. But I think you have to lower your expectations from where he was like the quarterback 1 for that stretch, obviously. Dale says, pick 2, Cooper, Olave, Palmer, Murray, or Michael Carter in a PPR format. I'm going to go Amari Cooper, Chris Olave relatively easily. Easy Eddie, happy to see you out, my friend, says, hey, Mason, 8-3, 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers in a flex. Would you feel okay with Evans, Kirk, Hollywood as your top 3 wide receivers for the playoffs? What about Evans, Hollywood, or Ayuk for Jamar Chase? This week starts iffy Justin Fields, or should we pick up Mariota or Kenny Pickett? If Justin Fields were to play, we play Justin Fields, but Kenny Pickett plays Sunday night, so we'll have the clarity by the time we have to make that decision. And then I would go ahead and trade the combo of Evans and Ayuk and for Jamar Chase relatively easily, my friend. Especially if you're 8-3, we only start 2 wide receivers in 1 flex. We're incentivized to go out there and kind of disregard depth and just get the best player we possibly can in that starting lineup. I think the best player we possibly can get is going to be Jamar Chase relatively easily here. So yeah, let's go ahead. Let's trade Evans and Ayuk for Jamar Chase. Love it. Now, Bryce says start Rashad White or James Conner. We're going to go James Conner given the great matchup he has against the Los Angeles Chargers, but it's not that far off. Easy Eddie says, how about Evans and Hollywood? I'd be fine with Evans and Hollywood as well. I'd definitely rather trade away Ayuk than Hollywood. Mike says, yo, Mason, should we start Palmer or Rashad White? Much love. Thank you, my friend, for coming out. And I think we're already go ahead. We're going to take Rashad White relatively easily over Joshua Palmer. And E-Man says, pick 2 in a happy BR format. Jeff Wilson Jr., Rashad White, Samaje P. Ryan, as well as Terry McLaurin. With no Raheem Mostert, with no Leonard Fournette, you got to go Jeff Wilson Jr. and Rashad White, not think twice about it. The Recess says PBR for the flex. We're going to roll Hollywood, Palmer, or Traylon Burks. I'm going to go Hollywood Brown. I think Hollywood Brown is going to be a viable option now that we have Rondale Moore officially ruled out and Hollywood Brown officially ruled good to go. Now, Brett says, I've been trying to trade/upgrade Miles Sanders for 2 weeks now. The guys with good running back depth in my league want Amon-Ra St. Brown. At this point, I may be stuck with Sanders at running back 2. I have all the wide receivers from before. Okay, let me see if I can find your previous message here, Brett. Okay. That is so damn frustrating. Can we not just like overpay? You know what I mean? Can we not just go, hey man, I'll give you Miles Sanders, Hollywood Brown, and Garrett Wilson and Christian Watson. Like give 3 players and just get a marginal upgrade at the running back position, because we just have so much wide receiver depth that even if we overpaid by a decent amount, we still wouldn't feel it. Like we still wouldn't feel it with our team. Okay, so now our next question coming out from, I believe, no, we already answered that one. Let me go back to where we were. This coming out from Space Ghost says, trade Dameon Pierce for Keenan Allen or Amari Cooper. If not, for who? If we needed a wide receiver, yes, I would trade Dameon Pierce for Amari Cooper. And I know it seems like we're making a very bold stance when we say that. I mean, I know Dameon Pierce is everybody's favorite running back, but when he's stuck in such a bad offense, not catching the ball, I don't really know what the realistic ceiling is. And if we're looking at Amari Cooper, I mean, Amari Cooper's been that low-end wide receiver 1, high-end wide receiver 2 already. And now we're going to go ahead. We're going to give him Deshaun Watson. I think we should be very excited about that. Now, Juicy says, Juju or Rashad White? Rashad White easily. Thoughts on Juju rest of season? I mean, Juju Smith-Schuster was a sell for us a while ago. I am more excited about Juju now than I previously was, however. Because with Juju now, I think he's in a better spot. I mean, you have no McCole Hardman. You have no Kadarius Toney. You have less target competition in general. So even if Juju was a sell high for me a while ago, I think at this point, he is someone they can be relatively excited about. Okay. Now, our next question coming out from, I believe, Bean says, are you worried about A.J. Brown and Waddle? Brown has been inconsistent, and Waddle has a rough playoff schedule. Also won $100 off the DAG player prop. That is awesome, my friend. Super happy to hear that. And with A.J. Brown, nope, not concerned. I understand that he's been very inconsistent. A.J. Brown has always, and I repeat, always been a wide receiver that wins with efficiency rather than a wide receiver that wins with volume. That's naturally what you're going to find. You're going to get A.J. Brown with his random 6 receptions, 3 receiving touchdowns, 150 receiving yards games, and then you're going to get duds like we've seen. And with Jalen Waddle, I am very biased, okay? Y'all know, but everybody makes fun of me by now. I say it over and over again. I know I'm annoying. My most drafted wide receiver, people have screamed at us saying, don't bet on Jalen Waddle. Don't bet on Jalen Waddle. Jalen Waddle's going to fail for reasons X, Y, and Z for God knows how long. And he has yet to let us down. So I don't know, my friend. I'm going to continue to bet on Jalen Waddle regardless of what the playoff schedule is. Now, really quick, we are at 399 likes on this live stream. We are 1 like away from hitting 400 likes on the stream. Please go down there, hit that like button, help us out. I mean, we have live streamed for like 150 days in a row. If you're not dropping a like on us for that, I don't know what you would. TJ says, Dirt, DK, Kirk, Rashad White, pick 2. Sorry to spam earlier. Didn't realize it ruins the chat. Appreciate the hard work and the advice. Full BBR. No, thank you so much for supporting the channel, my friend. I'm sorry if I muted you. That's my fault. If we're going to be looking at this, I think we're going to go Rashad White easily with the assumption that you have no Leonard Fournette. We're going to go Christian Kirk over DK Metcalf as well. Now, of course, if Leonard Fournette were to play, then I honestly think we would end up benching Rashad White and we'd play both wide receivers. But I'm operating under the assumption you have no Leonard Fournette. RJ says 7-4 in a full PPR format. We have Tua, Montgomery, Stevenson, Jefferson, A.J. Brown, Frymuth, Paris Campbell, Rashad White, Kareem Hunt, A.J. Dillon, Joe Mixon, Darnell Mooney, Jameson. What are the thoughts? Okay, so I think we have respectable quarterback 1. We have 2 respectable running backs now that you have the Khalil Herbert injury bumping up David Montgomery. We have 2 elite level wide receivers, Jefferson and A.J. Brown. And okay, thank God. With Mixon on the bench, as well as Rashad White on the bench, I love the roster. I was a little bit worried at first. No idea why the hell you're acting like Paris Campbell's your flex spot, my friend. Let's go ahead and let's take Paris Campbell out of here ASAP. Jam in Rashad White, but I think it's a good team. I mean, obviously, you're 7-4 for a reason. Now, Logan says, in a 10-team full BBR format, pick 1 to bench this week. A.J. Brown, Waddle, Tyler Lockett, Rashad White. We're going to bench Lockett relatively easily. Keep up the good work, man. Love the content. No, thank you so much for supporting the channel. And I just realized I've said relatively easily about 3,000 times this live stream. We probably have been so freaking annoying. Now, Chris says Rashad White or Jeff Wilson in a full PPR format. I think with the updated injury news that we have with both backfields, both running backs are must-start options. We will go Jeff Wilson. However, knowing that you are in a spot with him that he's going up against Houston Texans. Like, there are just no concerns. Now, Saigo says, is Jamar Chase playing? I think so. Like, last I saw, sounded like he was playing. I'll go through and I'll try to find the most recent report that we have with Jamar Chase here. Okay. Cannot find anything. I'm going to be operating under the assumption that Jamar Chase is good to go. I mean, if there's any updated news that I'm missing out on that y'all want to fill me in on, I am all ears. I'd be happy to hear you out on it, but from what I'm looking at, I don't see anything. Now, Peter says, happy Thanksgiving, brother. Happy Thanksgiving, my friend. I hope that you had a great day yesterday. Start Palmer or Allen Lazard in happy BR format. Love the videos. Appreciate all the hard work. Thank you, my friend. I mean, with Allen Lazard, you have no Romeo Doubs. With Joshua Palmer, we have no Mike Williams. I think both wide receivers are going to be viable. I'll be fine going ahead and taking Joshua Palmer. I mean, with Allen Lazard, you now at this point, I mean, have Randall Cobb back in, taking targets away. Obviously, we have Christian Watson breaking out as well. I mean, Allen Lazard had 11 targets this past week, but I don't know. I think that we should lower our expectations down a bit. Now, our next question coming out from, I believe, Will says, what's good, son? Happy BR 12-team league. 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, a tight end, and a flex. We have McLaurin, Godwin, Palmer. Already sat Isaiah McKenzie's 20 points on the bench. Can't blame yourself for that, my friend. I think the amount of people that Isaiah McKenzie in their starting lineup just consist of people who play in best ball, people who play in deep dynasty leagues, and liars. I don't think there's anybody in a shallow redraft format that has Isaiah McKenzie in their lineup this week. I think we're going to go ahead. We're going to play Godwin and Terry McLaurin. I would rank the... Oh, no, we only need one for the flex. Okay, I would go Godwin over Terry McLaurin, even with McLaurin having a phenomenal matchup against the Atlanta Falcons. I'd rank these 3 guys as Godwin, McLaurin, then Joshua Palmer. Now, Donahue says, hey, Mason, PPR, Keenan Allen or Chris Godwin in the flex. I really like Keenan Allen. Like, long-term, I think that we can actually be maybe a little more excited about Keenan Allen than we will be with Chris Godwin here. But I would say... when he's still not 100% worked back from the hamstring, or at least we haven't seen it on the field just yet, I would be fine for us to go ahead and for us to just take Chris Godwin over him. Yeah, we'll take Godwin over the Keenan Allen for the flex spot this week. Long term, I'm not going to be surprised at all if Allen ends up being the guy. Now, Ollie, always out here. Thank you so much. Says, must-win game, full BBR 10-team league. 5 and 6, 2 wide receivers, 2 running backs, 2 flexes. Who are we starting? We have Olave, Chase, Sutton, Donovan Peoples-Jones, Judy. Running back, we have JT, Najee, Jeff Wilson Jr., White, and Sanders. Okay, so we're going to go Jonathan Taylor, Jeff Wilson Jr. at running back. We're going to go Rashad White as a must-start guy down there in the flex. And then at wide receiver, we're going to go Chase, Olave, and then for the other flex ball, we're going to go right back to the running back position. We'll play Najee Harris. So yeah, wide receiver, let's play Jamar Chase, Chris Olave. If Jamar Chase misses, pivot over to Cortland Sutton. And then for our running backs and flex spots, we're going to go JT, Najee Harris, Jeff Wilson Jr., and Rashad White. Jam them all in. Now, TJ says DK Kirk, Demarcus Robinson, Greg Dortch, Rashad White. We got to pick 2. We're going to go Rashad White and Christian Kirk. Guys, everybody, if you have Rashad White, make sure Rashad White's in your starting lineup this week. Now, Ideas says, start 2 running backs and a flex between Eckler, Montgomery, Pierce, P. Ryan, and Rashad White. We're going to go Eckler and Rashad White as our 2 running backs. And then for that flex spot, we're going to go ahead. We're going to take David Montgomery. Yes, we're taking David Montgomery over Dameon Pierce. Now that Khalil Herbert's going to be gone, I think David Montgomery is actually involved a little bit more as a pass catcher and playing in a slightly better offense. Now, GK says, Mason the Machine, thank you for coming out, my friend. Should we drop P. Ryan for Kyren Williams? We have Jones, Mixon, White, and Miles Sanders. I would say no. Kyren Williams, obviously, in a significantly better situation than he was in a month ago. I mean, with Darrell Henderson getting cut, Kyren Williams is exciting. But at the same time, the Los Angeles Rams may have the worst offense in the NFL right now. The Los Angeles Rams are 15.5-point underdogs to the Kansas City Chiefs. Obviously, it's Kansas City, but still, the lowest implied team total of the week. I'm not excited about Kyren Williams in the slightest. He's not an athletic running back, not a big running back in a horrendous offense. Not excited. Now, Jack says, Connor, JT, ETN, Waddle, Godwin, Olave, who to start. Running back, we're going to go with JT, ETN as our 2 guys. Wide receiver, we're going to go Waddle and Olave. And in the flex spot, we're going to go James Conner in a plus matchup. Now, Nick says, PBR, P. Ryan, it Mixon's out, or Carter with Mike White. I'm going to go ahead. We're going to take Samaje P. Ryan. Significantly better offense. I think similar workload. Now, Davion Daniels says, we get CMC, A.J. Brown. We give up Devontae Adams and Joe Mixon. Do we win the deal? If you need points in this lineup right now, sure, take it. Like, obviously, it's nice getting 2 players that are actually going to play, 2 players that are healthy. I think if you're just thinking for the fantasy football playoffs, however, it is a fair deal, and it would be up to you in that case. Now, Diego says, full BBR with CMC, Evans, Godwin, Keenan, Rashad White, Jeff Wilson, Lenny. Who should be my running back 2, and who should be my flex? Rashad White's going to be your running back 2. Jeff Wilson's going to be your flex. I mean, regardless of which way you decide to go, they both play at noon. So, I mean, it doesn't really matter there. It's just a statement with what your league mates are going to be looking at. But I definitely want to be putting one of those running backs in the flex. And then you can start both Tampa wide receivers. Yeah, but you have to start both Jeff Wilson and Rashad White this week. Now, Nemesis says, start 1, Paris Campbell, Treylon Burks, Allen Lazard, Deontay Johnson. I think we're going to go ahead. I think we're going to take Allen Lazard here. Had 11 targets the last week we saw him. Matchup's not great, but hell, it is what it is. Now, Lion says, PBR choose 2, Palmer, Sutton, Hollywood, Pickens, as well as Corey Davis. We're going to go ahead. We're going to take Hollywood and Cortland Sutton now that we have no Rondale Moore, as well as no Jerry Jeudy. Sam says, in a 12-team PPR format, we have 2 and Jimmy G at quarterback, 9-2, thinking of a playoff run. Should I drop Jimmy Garoppolo and grab Deshaun Watson? Hell to the yes. Or keep as is, only 2 quarterbacks can be rostered. I would go ahead. I would drop Jimmy Garoppolo, pick up Deshaun Watson, because you're going to be playing Tua Tagovailoa over Jimmy G this week regardless. So, I mean, hell, at the end of the day, you're just picking up a backup quarterback, just looking for someone who has the highest ceiling possible. I'd say from a ceiling perspective, Deshaun Watson, who we've seen be the quarterback 1 overall in fantasy before, is going to have a significantly higher fantasy football ceiling than what you're going to be getting with Jimmy Garoppolo. So, yeah, let's take it. Jack says start Christian Watson or Paris Campbell. We're going to go Christian Watson easily with no Romeo Doubs. Now, C-Dog says P. Ryan or Pierce, full PBR. We'll go Pierce. I'm not that excited about it. Anthony, always happy to have you out, says, hey, Mason, can you tell my girlfriend Milena hello? She also wants to know if she should start Latavius or Dameon Pierce. She doesn't trust me. Thanks, no. Thank you, my friend. And I'll tell her hello, but I don't know if you want me to, big fella. That's a bold move on you. That's a bold move on you. Hello, Milena. Anthony, hopefully she's still yours. Hopefully she is. But I think we're going to go ahead. I think we're going to take Dameon Pierce. I mean, I know Latavius Murray is in a fine spot, but Dameon Pierce has had the volume so far this season. Now, Booty Madon coming out says, hi, baby. I miss you. Thank you for coming out, my friend. Pick 3, Keenan, McLaurin, Pickens, and Joshua Palmer. I think we're going to go ahead. We're going to take Keenan Allen, Terry McLaurin. I mean, With Keenan McLaurin, easy plays. Keenan had like 8 targets as a part-time player this past week. Terry McLaurin, great matchup against the Atlanta Falcons. Between Pickens and Palmer, now that Mike Williams is officially ruled out, I'd be fine if you wanted to go ahead and play Joshua Palmer over George Pickens because you are going to have so many more points scored in Los Angeles. Now, Carlton says start Rashad White or Mike Evans. Ooh, interesting question. I think we're going to go ahead. We're going to take Rashad White. Obviously, this is the assumption that Leonard Fournette were to miss. Leonard Fournette plays. You take Mike Evans. You don't think twice. But operating under the assumption that Leonard Fournette were to miss, let's play Rashad White over Mike Evans. Put White in there. Now, Thomas says, P. Ryan, Keenan, or Sutton this week in a 12-team PPR format. I think we're going to go ahead. We're going to take Sutton with no Jerry Jeudy. I think Keenan Allen can be the long-term answer, but I'd rather, if we get the chance, just wait a week to see what we're going to have. We have Allen, CMC, JT, Lamb, Hopkins, and Andrews, but I have to find a flex because Mixon's hurt. Yeah, let's go ahead and let's take Courtland Sutton. I mean, he's just had so many more targets in games that Jerry Jeudy's missed. Now, Atomic says, who should we flex, Montgomery or Antonio Gibson? I think Antonio Gibson is in a very good spot going up against the Atlanta Falcons with no J.D. McKissick, but Montgomery is just going to get every single touch out of his backfield. So we'll go ahead. We'll take David Montgomery. Okay, now our next question coming out from, I believe, Xavier says, pick 2 to start in a PPR format. Ayuk, Garrett Wilson, Pickens, Devonta Smith, Paris Campbell. Thanks for everything this year. No, thank you so much for the support, my man. I think we're going to go ahead. I think we're going to take the combo of Ayuk and Devonta Smith. I mean, with Smith, I know he's been inconsistent so far this season, but I think that the target volume is going to be more reliable without Dallas Goedert in this offense, just knowing they have one less guy to go to. Now, Brett says, is Zeke enough of an upgrade over Miles Sanders rest of season to justify a slight overpay? No. I think we try to go to the Travis Etienne tier. I think we try to go to the Kenneth Walker tier. And we're willing to slightly overpay for that. I'm sorry, Brett. I mean, it sucks that we're in that spot to begin with. And Drew says, PBR 10-team league, Hurts at quarterback. Running back, we have JT, Etienne, Walker, Mixon, White. Oh, my gosh. Wide receiver, we have A.J. Brown, Hopkins, Keenan, Hollywood. Goddard on the IR. Can't get Mark Andrews. Should we go for a wide receiver upgrade? Or, okay, so if we are past our trade deadline, if we could go ahead and trade Rashad White, who's our running back 5, I mean, you're going to get a lot of value for him. If you could trade Rashad White and package him with Hollywood Brown and get a very exciting wide receiver in return, let's do it. I mean, obviously, that's with the assumption that you already said you try to go after those tight ends and you weren't able to. You just have so much running back depth. I'd imagine that especially now, if we approach the Leonard Fournette owner and tell him that we're willing to bail him out and give him Rashad White, get a decent amount in return there. Now, Aaron says, start Kamara, Kirk, or P. Ryan in a full PPR format. We're going to go ahead. We're going to take Alvin Kamara. Yeah, let's go ahead. Let's take Alvin Kamara. I mean, going up against the 49ers, we don't like the matchup, but at the end of the day, we've talked about it a ton. Alvin Kamara gets the majority of that value derived as a pass catcher, where I think he will be able to overcome it. And Alvaro says, hey, thank you for everything. No, thank you, my friend. Pick 3, please. Eckler, Etienne, Montgomery, White, as well as Najee Harris, full PPR. We're going to go Eckler, Etienne as must-start guys, and then we'll go ahead and we'll take Rashad White as the third player. We'll take Rashad White over Montgomery and Najee Harris with the assumption that you don't have Leonard Fournette in the lineup this week. Jaden says, sit 1, CMC, Etienne, White, Godwin, Pittman, as well as Keenan Allen. Now that Mike Williams is officially ruled out, I think it's going to be relatively easy, as I've said that 1,000 times this live stream and sounded like an idiot. We're going to go ahead. We're going to just sit Michael Pittman. I mean, don't hate the matchup going up against Pittsburgh. It is kind of what it is. I just think that the other options here in this list are going to be significantly better. And then Phillips Way coming out every single day says pick 2, Christian Watson, George Pickens, Donovan Peoples-Jones, or Joshua Palmer. So I think we have to make some adjustments now that we have no Romeo Doubs officially, now that we have no Mike Williams officially. I think you have both Watson and Palmer, slightly more appealing options. And you know what? We'll go with both those guys. We'll go ahead and we'll take both Christian Watson and Joshua Palmer with those injury updates. Now, let me remind everybody, if you're spamming the chat over and over again, you are going to get put in timeout. That's what YouTube calls it. Essentially, you just get muted for about, I believe, 5 minutes. Well, don't spam the chat over and over again with the same question. It ruins the chat for everybody else. Okay, so now Bean says, pick 4, Chase, AJ Brown, Waddle, Godwin, Cooper. Thanks. So thank you, my friend, for supporting the channel. We're going to go with Waddle, Brown, Chase, must-start options. We're going to go ahead. We're going to take Amari over Godwin as well. So it looks like Godwin's going to be the guy we're benching here. Now, Sonny coming out with a massive dono. Thank you so much, says, what's going on, man? Just wanted to know your thoughts on Debo and Kittle going forward. I'm considering trading a first for either one in my Dynasty League, or considering a first Christian Kirk and Evan Ingram for Mark Andrews. I will say, my friend, I am not a massive fan of trading away first-round picks right now in Dynasty. I mean, if I am trading away our first-round rookie pick in 2023 or 2024, regardless, we need to be asking ourselves, do I win the league if I make this deal? Do I win the league if I make this trade? If you do, then let's explore it further, and then we can get excited about it. But if it takes us from a pretender to a slight contender where we're still not that excited about it, then I don't know. I mean, if we're looking at both Deebo Samuel as well as George Kittle, they're both older than you would assume that they were. Like Deebo Samuel drafted in 2019, the same class as Metcalf, the same class as AJ Brown, but I believe he stayed 4 or 5 years coming out of South Carolina. Like Deebo Samuel's pretty damn old. I mean, this was due to all the injuries that he had in college, having to stay. Yeah, Deebo Samuel gonna be 27 this offseason. George Kittle stayed, a while at Iowa. He was drafted in 2017, but he's older than you assume. Yeah, George Kittle's 29. If it's going to be a late first where you think acquiring one of those guys is going to win you your league, I'm fine with you going through and trading away a first to get them. I don't love the Andrews trade. I don't love adding like Christian Kirk to it to get it done, though. Just assuming that it's a Dynasty League where you start 10 or more players. I mean, most Dynasty Leagues obviously are going to be a little bit deeper here. But we just hit 500 likes in the live stream. Thank you so much for everybody going down there. Drop in a like on the live stream. It does help us out a ton. If you have not done so already, hit that like button yet. I mean, we have live streamed for 150 days in a row. If you're not going to drop a like on the stream for that, I don't know what you would drop a like for. I don't know if I'm going to have to stand up and do a backflip off my chair, take off my shirt, do a little dance for y'all. I don't know if that's what's going to take, but please go down there and drop that like if you haven't as is. Now, Eat, Sleep, Squint says, 12-team app PPR format, Sutton or Palmer. I think we're going to go ahead. We're going to go Cortland Sutton with no Jerry Jeudy here, my friend. Other league, pick 3. Chase, Higgins, Debo, and Amari Cooper. I know most people are going to be playing Deebo Samuel. However, I will be benching Debo out of these 4. A, because Deebo Samuel is questionable. B, because with Deebo Samuel here, I think you are just naturally going to get some regression. I mean, this is a spot where the 49ers scored 5 touchdowns this past week. Now, I'm no mathematician, but I would be surprised if the 49ers continue to go through and score 5 touchdowns a game. And on top of this, you had a whopping 0 touchdowns scored for Christian McCaffrey. Now, I'm no mathematician, but I'd be surprised if Christian McCaffrey continued to score 0 touchdowns in a game. So I think both these things come back to what you would expect a bit, and that's going to be no bueno for Deebo Samuel. So I think we do lower expectations on him in particular. So let's go Chase, Higgins, and Amari. Now, Alex says, have BBR list these in order. Chubb, Montgomery, Pierce, Aaron Jones, Rashad White, Jeff Wilson, James Conner, and Samaje Perine. We're going to go Chubb, Jeff Wilson, Rashad White, Chubb, Jeff Wilson, James Conner, Rashad White, Aaron Jones, and then after that, Montgomery, Pierce, Perine. Now, XXX says, start 2, AJ Brown, Cortland Sutton, Lockett, Juju, Godwin. Also traded Mixon for Alvin Kamara. What are your thoughts? Much love. Much love, my friend. I think the Mixon for Kamara trade is a fair one. Going to be dependent on your roster. Going to be dependent on your personal preference. And if you need points in the starting lineup today versus in the fantasy football playoffs. Because obviously, if you need points today, kind of may have to go through and trade Joe Mixon for Kamara. And then with those two, we're going to start the combo of A.J. Brown. And then between Chris Godwin and Courtland Sutton, I think that can be down to you. I'm going to bench the combo of Lockett and Juju Smith-Schuster. I mean, you know, I am not a massive Sutton fan, but when you have no Jerry Jeudy, he's just getting flooded with targets. Brent saying he just got muted because he asked a question twice. I'm going through and counting the amount of times I've seen this question get asked. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It's like 6 or 7 times, my friend. He didn't ask the question twice. Now, Noah says start Christian Watson or Tyler Lockett. We'll go Lockett over Christian Watson. And then start Dameon Pierce or Rashad White. I think we're going to go ahead. I think that we are going to go play Rashad White over Dameon Pierce. I mean, if you have no Leonard Fournette, Rashad White just gives you such a high floor as a pass catcher. I mean, the man was arguably the best passing down running back in this year's NFL draft behind Breece Hall. We know the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are just going to be dropping back to throw the ball a crap ton. So I think you can be excited when it comes to Rashad White. But now Anthony says, Mark Andrews or James Conner at the flex. I think you have to play James Conner given the great matchup that we have against the Los Angeles Chargers and given the volume that he's seeing. Decided to start Jeff Wilson. I'm glad I started Ramondre over all my other running back options. Thank you for your reply. No, thank you so much for supporting the channel, my friend. Yeah, I think you have to start Jeff Wilson now that you have no Raheem Mostert. I mean, Jeff Wilson is just a must-start guy. I mean, a borderline top 5 RB. And then I love Andrews. Like, I'm assuming that you have Kelsey at tight ends, and that's why you're looking to figure out what we're doing with Mark Andrews at the flex spot here. I mean, I would really like to start Andrews if possible, and I think most weeks we will go ahead and we will start Mark Andrews. I mean, especially if you're in a spot where you have no Rashad Bateman. Like, he is like the only guy that's going to be able to draw targets here. It's just James Conner's getting every single snap. James Conner's getting involved as a pass catcher. And I mean, the Los Angeles Chargers just gave up the first 100-yard rushing game that the Kansas City Chiefs have had literally since what? I mean, they said it was like the first month of last season for like 20 weeks. This is a good matchup against the Chargers. But Tommy says start Dameon Pierce or Samaje Perine. We will go Dameon Pierce over Samaje Perine, even if I'm not a big Pierce guy. And Brandon says start Chase if he plays or DeAndre Hopkins at wide receiver 2. Excellently put Ramondre at the flex instead of RB2 so I can't start both Chase and Hopkins. I don't know exactly what we're supposed to. If it's Chase versus Hopkins, I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to be taking DeAndre Hopkins. I'll take DeAndre Hopkins. Give me Jamar Chase rest of season. But first week back, we'll give the tiebreaker over to Hopkins. J Money says, Mason, what app do you play fantasy on? By far and away, the app that I have the most teams on will be Underdog. I drafted over 700 teams on Underdog this year. I'm sure y'all have seen a crap ton of them on the live streams. And of course, if you want to check out any of these props, if you want to get into a draft with us, we did like 700 of them on the live stream this year. Go sign up for Underdog. Find the link in the live chat. Find it in the description. When you sign up for Underdog and use promo code FLOCK, they're going to match your first deposit dollar for dollar up to 100. Available in damn near every state. And also, I'm getting y'all a free Patrick Mahomes bets this next week. In week 13 Instead of seeing Patrick Mahomes here at 285 and half passing yards, it's going to be at 0.5 passing yards only for people who use promo code FLOCK. Okay. Now, our next question coming out from Evan says, in a 10-team full BBR format, double flex, 5 and 6, should I trade Hockenson, Zeke, Godwin for Stephon Diggs and Michael Carter? Hell to the yes. We have Cook, Kamara, Latavius Murray, Pacheco, Rashad White, J.K. Dobbins, Pat Freiermuth, Jamar Chase, Lamb, Garrett Wilson, and Traylon Burks. Let's go ahead. Let's pull the trigger. I mean, if you're looking at Pat Freiermuth versus T.J. Hockenson rest of season, that they are very comparable. Freiermuth has been phenomenal so far this year. And if we're going to be getting Stephon Diggs in here, I mean, essentially just paying Ezekiel and Godwin to get the deal done, that makes so much sense. Stephon Diggs, arguably the wide receiver one so far this season. Like, what are we looking for? Now, Justin says, full point PPR, start 2 with a wide receiver and a flex. Sutton, Olave, Ayuk, Dameon Pierce, as well as Najee Harris. Ooh. I kind of want to go with Olave as well as Najee Harris. I kind of want to go with Najee Harris as well as Chris Olave. I mean, with Najee, I know he's been so disappointed. Sorry, I'm sitting here thinking. I mean, you have a good matchup going up against Indy. The game is supposed to be close. No Jalen Warren. He's just getting every single freaking touch. I don't know if we're just falling for the 2 touchdowns this past week, but let's go ahead. Let's take Najee Harris and Courtland Sutton there. Now, KLOL says Aaron Jones or White in a non-PPR format. We're down 10 points. If it is a non-PPR league, we'll go Aaron Jones. Full PPR, I think we can go White. Non-PPR, I think maybe that's enough to take it Aaron Jones. I just think that you are more likely to see the Packers run the ball inside the 10-yard line than you are to see the Bucs. Okay. Now, Bradley says a full PPR, pick 1 running back, P. Ryan, Foreman, Pacheco, pick 1 receiver between Pickens and Burks. We'll go with Pickens over Burks. I like the upside of Burks, but let's see it another week. And then for our running back, let's go ahead. Let's take Samaje Perine. I mean, in a full PPR format, he is going to catch the ball. He's playing in an elite level offense. He had 3 touchdowns the past week, and this is a backfield that's had 8 touchdowns over the past 2 weeks. Now, Griffin says, who should I trade and what wide receiver could we get? We have Kamara, Walker, White, McLaurin, Brown, and Mooney. Tight end is Freiermuth. And on the bench, we have Pacheco, Leonard Fournette, P. Ryan, Judy, as well as Cole Kmet in a full PPR league. I think if we could go through and maybe trade Rashad White, and I have literally spent the entire season now calling Rashad White a buy low guy. I mean, he's been the first name on pretty much every buy low running back video we've had. But if he's our running back 3, even with the Leonard Fournette injury, if we could go through and package together maybe Rashad White's as well as Darnell Mooney and go get a long-term upgrade at wide receiver, go get someone in like the T. Higgins range long-term, I think that would be very exciting because even if White comes out here and balls and you get Leonard Fournette back in, it's going to be a split backfield. You can get that wide receiver that we can go through and jam in the flex spot. I kind of want to tell you Amon-Ra St. Brown. I just don't know if we're going to be able to get Amon-Ra St. Brown anymore given the Buffalo game. Now, Brandon says, start 1, Najee, White, P. Ryan, Traylon Burks, Donovan Peoples-Jones. Full BBR format, no Leonard Fournette. We're going to go Rashad White. If Leonard Fournette were to play, which he's probably not, I mean, he would have to be a very, very surprising active. We're going to go ahead, we would pivot to Najee Harris. But playing on Rashad White, I'm operating under the assumption we have no Fournette. Now, I think that should be it for the live stream. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. I hope that you have a phenomenal Friday night. Of course, go down there, drop a like on this live stream. I'm going to keep this up as a video later on, so it would help us out a ton if you hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel if you play fantasy football. If you want to check out any of these player props, you can find the link in the comment section in the live chat. in the description. Use promo code FLOCK. They'll match at first deposit, dollar for dollar, 200. Available in damn near every state. But Austin with the last question here. Full PPR, we need 4. Gibson, Kamara, White, Evans. Ayuk, Palmer, P. Ryan. Love the channel, what you do. Thank you, my friend. We're going to go with the running backs. We're going to go Gibson, Kamara, White, must-start players. And then if we have to mix in one other guy, instead of going P. Ryan, we'll go ahead and we'll take Mike Evans for that 4th spot. But thank you again. I truly do appreciate you. I appreciate all the support. Hope you have a great night, and I will see you tomorrow morning.